The Federal Ministry of Education has called on stakeholders to operationalize the school safety guidelines to protect schools from attack. The Minister of State for Education, Goodluck Opiah, disclosed this in Abuja at a news conference to commemorate the 2022 International Day to Protect Education from Attack. Helen Osamide Akins reports.
In 2021, Save the Children International, a non-governmental organization, observed that over 1,000 students have been adopted from Nigerian schools. The group said increasing cases of attacks on schools between 2020 and 2021 led to many schools being shut, thereby putting the education system of the country at extreme risk. In 2019, Nigeria ratified the Safe School Declaration to make schools safer and to have a course of action to follow in an event of unsafe situations. As Nigeria joins the war to commemorate the International Day to Protect Education from Attack, the federal government is challenging stakeholders to put into operation the Safe School Guidelines to protect education from violent situations and armed conflicts.
Our President Muhammadu Buhari, GCFR, ratified the instrument on the 31st December 2019, thereby committing the operational terms and guidelines. This committed the nation's assurance to 1. Protect students, teachers, schools, and universities from the worst effects of armed conflicts, support the continuation of education learning even during armed conflicts, implement concrete measures to deter security forces from using schools as military base.
The theme, implementing the school safety policy as a tool to protect education from attack, a collective responsibility, was devised by the Federal Ministry of Education to create awareness on the existence of the school safety policy.
The International Day to Protect Education from Attack was initiated by Qatar and co-sponsored by 62 other countries at the 76th United Nations General Assembly in 2020 and was unanimously adopted. Helen Osamide Akins, TVC News, Abuja.
Let's now talk to Chief of Maiduguri Chief Office for UNICEF, Funguyen, who joins us now for more on this development. UNICEF recently mentioned that the number of out-of-school children in Nigeria has risen from 10 million to 20, even though government doesn't seem to agree with the accuracy of that figure. But what percentage of this quoted figure would you say is a function of the attack on schools in Nigeria? Well, I doubt if you can hear me, but I'm asking you, Funguyen, what percentage of the quoted number of out-of-school children in Nigeria, according to UNICEF, is a function of violent attacks on Nigerian schools?
Yes, thank you very much. And indeed, the number of out-of-school children from our latest data certainly has shown to be much higher than originally discussed. And I think a lot of those numbers are very much a reflection of the ongoing conflict, particularly in the northeast of Nigeria, where the conflict has been raging since 2009. It is very concerning for us because when schools are attacked, when education facilities are attacked, children are displaced. And they are the most vulnerable groups of people when it comes to the conflict. Women and children usually bear the brunt of the conflict. And part of those attacks are also attacks on schools and education facilities. So in the Northeast, for example, about 1/3 of schools have been hit by shells, by shrapnels, by bullets. Over 50% of the schools need renovation. These are just some very small sampling of understanding of the major impacts, negative impacts that are being experienced by children in the Northeast when it comes to the need to protect education against these attacks.
Government in Nigeria is now talking about safety guidelines to protect schools. You've been here for a while now. Do you think this is the answer to the problems? or is UNICEF recognizing some more solutions and also advising government to do more?
Yes, and indeed, I think, UNICEF does very much appreciate the efforts of the government of Nigeria, particularly having signed the Safe School Declaration in December 2019, ratifying it. I think that's a wonderful, wonderful effort and wonderful start under the leadership of the government of Nigeria and supported by UNICEF and other stakeholders. It is a great start, and so that's good. So what we need to move beyond that, beyond the policy, beyond the guidance and guidelines already established, is actually implementing that. And part of that implementation is making sure that everyone and every stakeholders, whether it be government, different line ministries at federal level, state level, local government level, military, education personnel, community leaders, religious leaders, children themselves. What's important is really rolling out those guidelines and implementing those very key aspects in order to protect education. So it is a huge problem, and it takes a multi-stakeholders solution to it, and we have to start the implementation of that.
How optimistic are you about this implementation? Would you say that we are on the track to having most of our schools open and less susceptible to these frequent attacks?
I think we are on the right track. It's not. It is not a magic bullet that attacks will stop anytime soon. But I think the political will is there, and I think we need to nudge and push it further to make it more than political will. So, for example, here in the Northeast, we have over about 8 schools now that are still under the under occupation, let's say, by the military. And then there are some schools that are also nearby to military posts and whatnot. We have had discussions, very good, solid, constructive discussions with the military here in the Northeast, and they are committed to vacating those schools so that we, UNICEF and other partners, can renovate these schools and return them to the rightful owner, and that's to say the community and the girls and boys of those communities. So while these discussions are not always easy, changing political will, taking action and actioning those commitments does take a little bit longer, but we are confident we're on the right track. And speaking of track, UNICEF also works with the ministry, the line ministry for supporting education, to also make sure that we are using EduTrack, which is it's an innovation using technology to track education indicators, and that will help us plan better. It will help us to track whether children, while they're in school, if they're learning. Part of our work is also making sure that we are planning to have education facilities in those locations where there are large pockets of out-of-school children. And in the Northeast, there are too many children who are out of school. In fact, 1 out of 3 children in the Northeast are out of school, and of that figure, 2 out of 3 are actually girls. So we need to be able to not only protect the schools that are available, but also to plan and construct classrooms and schools to avail themselves safe and protective environment for children to learn in. And for that, we have constructed additional classrooms in over 160 schools in the Borno, Yobe, and then the Adamawa states. Hopefully
all these plans come to fruition quick and also have huge impact on all of these very discouraging figures that you have quoted. Fungunia is a chief of Maiduguri Field Office for UNICEF. Thank you for talking to us tonight on the news.
Thank you.